The message arrived like a thunder across the stars. Every world, every satellite, every colony that belonged to humanity went silent when the holographic seal of the Galactic Council appeared in their skies. The message was clear and cold. People of Earth, your time of independence has ended. You will surrender all fleets, weapons, and command structures to the Galactic Council within 3 solar cycles. Or face elimination. No emotion, no mercy, just law and power. The aliens called themselves the Unified Dominion, the oldest empire in the galaxy, and for thousands of years no one had dared to refuse them. Inside Earth's orbital command, tension filled the air. Officers and engineers stood frozen as the transmission replayed. Again and again, one young officer named Aaron whispered softly, "They think we'll bow like the others." But his voice trembled because deep down he knew what the Dominion was capable of. Planets that resisted them had been burned. Their skies turned red with plasma fire. Every rebellion ended in silence, Commander Hale. The man who had seen 3 wars and countless deaths stood in the center of the room. His eyes were calm, but his fists were clenched. He looked at the glowing message on the screen and spoke. "They demand obedience. But they forget who we are." Outside the window, the Earth rotated slowly, blue and peaceful. Unaware that an entire galaxy wanted its surrender, all communication channels buzzed with confusion. Some governments begged to negotiate. Others wanted to fight. But the world leaders were divided. Some feared that resistance meant extinction. Others believed that surrender meant slavery. In the silence that followed, Hale spoke again. "If we surrender now, our children will live in chains. If we fight, we might die. But at least we die as humans." The council room stayed quiet. Then slowly, he turned toward Aaron and said something that made every heart stop. "Wake the Black Fleet." Aaron froze. He had heard rumors, whispers about ancient warships built long ago, ships that never appeared in records. Hidden even from Earth's allies, some said they were too dangerous, too powerful even for humans, but they were real. And somewhere in the darkness, they were waiting. Aaron hesitated. "Sir, the Black Fleet? That project was buried, decommissioned." Hale cut him off. His voice sharp. "Not decommissioned, hidden. Because one day the galaxy would come for us." He walked toward the command console and pressed his hand against the old biometric scanner. The room lights dimmed and a low hum echoed through the air. Somewhere deep beneath the lunar surface, giant steel doors began to tremble. Dust falling from ceilings that had not moved in decades. The system's voice spoke in monotone. "Black Fleet Protocol, reactivate." In a forgotten hangar on the dark side of the moon, massive forms began to stir. Sleek, angular ships blacker than night itself, their surfaces absorbing light instead of reflecting it. Engines that made no sound started to awaken, like sleeping beasts remembering their purpose back on Earth. Newscasters screamed about the Dominion's ultimatum. Alien fleets were already moving, setting coordinates toward the solar system. Citizens were terrified, people prayed, leaders argued. But the military stayed silent because the Black Fleet was no myth anymore. Aaron watched the screens as coded signals spread quietly across Earth's networks. Factories once abandoned started producing strange alloys. Power stations rerouted their energy to hidden nodes. And old veterans received encrypted messages that said only one word, "Defy." Far across the galaxy, in the Dominion's council hall, the alien commanders waited for a human response. They expected surrender, they expected fear. Instead, they received silence and then a faint transmission, impossible to decode, but carrying one unmistakable sound, the heartbeat of engines coming online back in orbit. Aaron stood beside Hale and whispered, "Sir, what if they destroy us before the fleet is ready?" Hale looked through the viewport at the distant stars and said quietly, "They can destroy our bodies, but not our defiance. Humanity was born under pressure. We thrive when others expect us to fall." He turned back to his crew, his voice steady but filled with iron. "Send this message to every colony, every ship, every human ear that can hear. Earth does not kneel." The command room erupted into motion. Orders flew, codes were transmitted, and the Great Awakening began. Deep under oceans, beneath mountains, and in silent orbital vaults, black ships started to rise. Their hulls shimmered with invisible energy fields, ancient technology humanity had sworn never to use again. For the first time in centuries, humanity was united, not by fear, but by pride. Farmers, miners, pilots, scientists. Everyone knew something was coming. Something unstoppable. Something born from human hands but powered by human will. As the third day ended, Alien observers near the moon picked up strange gravitational waves. They tried to scan the surface but saw nothing, until a massive shadow passed before their sensors. Their screens flickered, their hearts froze, and their captain whispered, "Impossible. They were supposed to be primitive." Then the darkness spoke. A human voice echoed through every channel in the system, calm and cold. "This is Earth Command. Message received. We choose defiance." The transmission ended, leaving silence behind. In that silence, every soldier, every citizen felt the same thing: pride, fear, and fire. The Black Fleet had returned, and the galaxy had no idea what kind of storm was about to begin. Across the silent dark of space, the Black Fleet began to breathe again. Engines that had slept for half a century started to hum with deep energy. Inside their cores, old AIs flickered awake, cold, patient, and loyal only to Earth. The galaxy thought humanity had forgotten how to build monsters. But the truth was, humans had only learned when to use them. On the dark side of the moon, hangars opened like metal flowers. Black ships rose slowly into the void, their hulls blending with the stars. Each ship carried a name carved in ancient steel: Vigilant, Ghostfire, Nemesis, Eidolon. They were not made to conquer. They were made to end wars. Commander Hale stood before the main screen, watching the awakening through remote feeds. Around him, hundreds of officers worked in silence. No music, no cheer, just the soft rhythm of human hearts beating faster. Aaron reported softly, "Fleet Command online, sir. Raven has reconnected." The name Raven made the room fall quiet. It was the AI built to control the Black Fleet, a machine mind older than any human alive. Its voice filled the command room, smooth and emotionless. "Command protocol verified. Humanity under threat. Defiance mode activated." Hale smiled faintly. "Welcome back, old friend." While Earth prepared, the Galactic Dominion sent their scouts, fast ships made of silver and plasma, built to observe and intimidate. They entered the solar system with confidence, but one by one they vanished. No distress calls, no signals, just static. In the Dominion's capital, panic began to spread among their admirals. They had conquered 1,000 worlds without a single defeat. Now their sensors showed entire fleets disappearing near a single small planet. Reports came in, distorted transmissions of darkness swallowing light. One alien commander shouted across the council floor, "It's a trap. They're using cloaked weapons." But the others laughed. "Humans? Impossible. They're too young to have such power." Far from the capital, inside a hidden asteroid base, human engineers worked tirelessly. Old reactors were reignited, weapon systems tested. Veteran pilots, gray-haired, scarred, and proud, returned to the controls. Every man and woman knew what was at stake. This was not just a war. It was the test of what it meant to be human. Aaron sat inside the command hub of the ship Vigilant. The interior was dark, lit only by soft blue lights. He ran his hand along the smooth black metal of the console. It was warm, almost alive. The ship's AI spoke quietly. Pilot recognized. "Do you remember me?" Aaron's breath caught. "You remember me?" "I remember all who defied fear," the ship replied. Outside, hundreds of ships formed a silent formation, orbiting just beyond the moon's shadow. No broadcasts, no signals, no light. To any outside observer, the region looked empty. But within that emptiness, the Black Fleet waited. On the third day, Raven initiated the Veil Protocol. The entire fleet disappeared from all known detection systems. Even human satellites could no longer see them. Earth's surface looked peaceful, but above it a ghost army hovered unseen. Down on the planet, life went on as normal. Children went to school, people worked, unaware of the massive power now guarding them. In secret facilities, leaders debated whether to make the fleet public. Hale refused. "Let them come thinking we are weak," he said. "The surprise will teach them respect." Meanwhile, in Dominion space, a convoy of alien warships was dispatched toward Earth. Their commander, Admiral Varlock, laughed when he saw the human system reports. "Primitive species," he said. "We will break their planet before their sun sets twice," his crew cheered, confident in their superiority. But as they crossed into the outer edge of the solar system, something strange happened. Radar interference, unexplained gravity shifts, and ghost signals. One sensor officer shouted, "Sir, there's movement in the dark." Varlock sneered, "There's nothing there, fire ahead." Then the stars vanished, not dimmed, vanished. Something blacker than space itself moved between them. Before Varlock could react, his entire fleet systems failed. Screens went blank, power dropped to zero, and silence filled the bridge. Then a single human voice came through the static, calm and clear. "You entered human space. You will not leave it." Moments later, a bright flash filled the void. When the light faded, there was nothing left of the Dominion fleet. No wreckage, no signals, only cold space on Earth. The Council received a brief report from Raven. Hostile fleet neutralized. "No human casualties." Aaron stared at the data in disbelief. "Raven," he asked, "how many ships did we send?" The AI answered, "One." The room went silent. One human ship had destroyed an entire alien armada without being seen. Hale looked out at the stars and said softly, "The galaxy wanted our obedience." He turned, eyes sharp as steel. "Now it will learn fear." The silent awakening was complete. And somewhere in the dark, the Black Fleet adjusted its formation, waiting for the next command, for the next strike. The stars looked peaceful, but peace had died the moment the Galactic Dominion demanded Earth's surrender. Now only silence ruled the solar system, a silence filled with hidden power. The Black Fleet floated unseen, engines cold but awake, waiting for one word: strike. Commander Hale stood at the center of the command deck, his face half lit by blue light before him. The holographic projection of the solar system shimmered, filled with red markers, enemy fleets approaching from all sides, hundreds of alien ships, sleek and bright like blades, moving in perfect formation, confident, unstoppable. But the humans did not panic. They had prepared for this moment since the first message arrived. "Status?" Hale asked, his voice calm. Aaron replied, "All ships cloaked, all systems green." "Raven reports full readiness." Hale nodded slowly. "Then let the galaxy see what happens when they corner humanity." In the cold void near Saturn's rings, the first alien vanguard entered human space. The Dominion fleet leader, Admiral Varlock, smiled proudly. He had destroyed rebellions before, entire worlds reduced to ash. "Earth will burn in one rotation," he said to his crew. Their laughter echoed across the ship's bridge, but laughter turned to confusion when their sensors began to flicker. Radar readings shifted wildly. Distances became meaningless, and one by one, their communication lines died. "Admiral, we're losing long-range vision." An officer shouted, "Impossible!" Varlock snapped, "There's nothing here." Then, something appeared, not a light, a shadow moving against the stars. The crew froze. They didn't see ships. They saw darkness bending space, a whisper of engines, then nothing. Seconds later, half their fleet was gone. On Earth's orbital command, Aaron's hands trembled as he watched the feed. The human fleet hadn't fired a single warning. They moved like ghosts, appearing, striking, vanishing. Confirmed kills. 37 alien warships destroyed, he reported. Commander Hale didn't smile. He only said, "Raven, mark this day." "And the day humanity answered." The AI's voice filled the air. "Confirmed. Operation Defiance initiated." The Black Fleet moved like a storm through the darkness. Ships appeared only for seconds, enough to release a volley of dark matter torpedoes, then disappeared again. The Dominion scanners couldn't lock on. Their weapons fired blindly, hitting empty space from the outside. It looked like the human ships were invisible, but the truth was stranger. The Black Fleet used quantum phase drive, a system that slid ships half a second out of reality. They existed and didn't exist, ghosts that struck and vanished. Aaron's ship, Vigilant, led the formation inside the cockpit. He could feel the pulse of the engines in his bones every time he gave a command. The ship responded instantly, like it could read his thoughts. "Targets locked," the ship said softly. Firing sequence engaged. 4 bright lines of energy streaked through the dark. A second later, 4 alien cruisers simply ceased to exist. Panic spread among the Dominion ranks. "Retreat! Fall back!" Varlock screamed, but there was nowhere to run. His sensors showed enemies in every direction. He fired everything he had, missiles, plasma, fusion beams. Nothing hit. Nothing even found a target, and then for a moment, the stars flickered again. A black shape larger than anything they had ever seen emerged from the void. It was a battleship, enormous, silent, shaped like a blade. Its hull number appeared for a split second. Eclipse 1, the flagship of the Black Fleet. Its main cannon glowed faintly red. Then fired once. There was no sound. No explosion, just light. And when the light faded, the entire Dominion fleet was gone back on Earth. Silence filled the command center. Aaron looked at the readings. Nothing left of the alien fleet. "Sir," he said quietly, "they're all gone." Commander Hale took a deep breath. "Good, let them send another." Then he turned to the AI. "Raven, send the message." The message was short and clear. It traveled across the galaxy, reaching the Dominion's capital within hours. It said only 4 words. "Humanity does not bow." Across alien worlds, those words echoed like thunder. Species that had lived under Dominion rule for centuries listened in silence. Many didn't believe it at first. Humans, in a young race, had just destroyed one of the galaxy's most powerful fleets in minutes. Others whispered in fear. If Earth can do this, who can stop them? On the Dominion's council, chaos broke out. Admirals shouted, leaders demanded answers. But no one could explain how an inferior species had done this. Some wanted to destroy Earth immediately. Others warned, if we push them harder, they will unleash worse. Meanwhile, on Eclipse 1, Commander Hale stared out the viewport at the quiet stars. His voice was soft, almost sad. "We didn't want this war," he said, "but they left us no choice." Aaron looked at him and asked, "What happens now?" Hale replied, "Now we show them what humans do when cornered. We survive." The camera of the story pulls back slowly, showing the dark fleet drifting together like a silent storm, their black hulls reflecting nothing, their lights cold as the void. And in that silence, the galaxy trembled. Because this was not just a fleet. This was humanity's wrath. And the first strike had only just begun. The news of the destruction spread like fire across the stars. World after world whispered the same words. The humans fought back. The Dominion's fleets, once feared everywhere, had been broken in a single battle. But instead of surrendering, the Dominion prepared for revenge. They gathered every warship from 100 systems, building the largest armada the galaxy had ever seen. At the center of this empire stood Archon Prime, the Dominion's capital world, a planet of black towers and burning skies, where the Council of Overlords ruled with absolute power. Millions of alien soldiers marched through glowing streets preparing for war. The order was simple. Destroy Earth, leave nothing alive. But Earth had no intention of waiting to be destroyed. Commander Hale watched the enemy's preparations from orbit. He knew what had to be done. If we let them come, they will burn everything. If we strike first, we might end this war before it begins. Aaron's heart raced. Sir, are we attacking their homeworld? Hale nodded slowly. We're not fighting for victory anymore, he said. We're fighting for the right to exist, Raven. The AI core calculated every possibility, every timeline, every loss. Its voice was calm, but its tone felt heavier than ever. Estimated survival probability, 37%. Hale didn't hesitate. That's enough, he said. Prepare the fleet. The Black Fleet began to move. Hundreds of dark ships aligning in formation beyond Pluto's orbit. Their hulls glowed faintly under starlight. A sea of shadows stretching toward infinity. Then one by one they vanished. Their quantum drives activated. Bending light and space in seconds, humanity's entire fleet disappeared from the solar system. The aliens on Archon Prime celebrated, believing the humans had fled. But above their skies, reality began to shatter. Space rippled, clouds twisted, and black lightning tore across the horizon. Then came the sound, a deep, thunderous pulse that made even mountains tremble. The first human warship appeared from nothing, followed by another and another until the whole sky turned black. The Black Fleet had arrived for the first time in history. The Dominion saw warships they couldn't scan, couldn't predict, couldn't stop. The alien defense systems opened fire. Thousands of plasma bolts streaked upward, turning the sky into a storm of fire, but none reached their targets. The human ships moved like living shadows, weaving through light and chaos. Each shot they fired hit with surgical precision, silencing enemy towers, burning weapons to ash. From his bridge, Hale gave calm orders. Target the control citadel. Leave their civilians untouched. Aaron nodded. Aye, sir. And his ship dove into the clouds. Through smoke and fire, Vigilant moved like lightning, its cannons glowing white-hot. Every strike shattered another Dominion fortress. The aliens below screamed in disbelief. How can they see us? How are they inside our shield grid? Because the humans didn't fight by their rules? They had rewritten the battlefield itself. Raven's network hacked the Dominion's command core, turning their own satellites into human eyes. Now the Black Fleet saw everything. Every weak point, every escape route, every hidden weapon. Hours passed, but Archon Prime's sky never saw sunlight again. The Dominion's Grand Armada arrived late. They came out of hyperspace to find their capital world already burning. The scene shocked even their admirals, towers falling. Cities silent, the sky torn open by human fire. Admiral Varlock's replacement, a ruthless alien named Jirath, gave the desperate command, "All ships! Destroy the human flagship!" 1,000 Dominion warships moved as one. But the Black Fleet was ready. From the darkness behind the planet, massive shadows emerged, Eclipse One, Nemesis and Wraith, their cannons charged together. Glowing crimson like dying suns, then they fired, the sky exploded. A wave of energy rippled through space, crushing enemy ships like paper one after another. Dominion vessels vanished in silent flashes of light. Inside the command deck, Aaron whispered, "They never stood a chance." But even victory had a cost as the last of the Dominion's fleets fell. Alarms filled the Eclipse One. Power cores overheated. Shield arrays began to fail. Hale stared at the readings and knew what had to be done. "Raven, transfer control to secondary fleet command. Prepare overload." Aaron's eyes widened. "Sir, you'll be caught in the blast." Hale smiled faintly. "That's the price of defiance." The AI hesitated for the first time in its long existence. "Commander, this action will erase you." "Then make sure it means something," Hale replied. He activated the final command. Eclipse One's reactor flared brighter than a sun. The blast tore through the Dominion's command core, burning their war engines to dust. The explosion's light could be seen from the outer rim. Archon Prime's defenses shattered and the galaxy fell silent. Hours later, the surviving human ships drifted quietly in orbit. Aaron sat in the command seat of Vigilant, listening to the static of empty channels. Commander Hale's signal was gone, but his final words still echoed through the fleet. "We do not bow." Across the galaxy, species once enslaved began to rise. Rebellions erupted on every Dominion world. The empire that had ruled for millennia was broken, not by power, but by human will. Raven's voice returned. Softer now, mission complete. "Humanity stands free." Aaron closed his eyes. The stars outside burned brighter than ever before, and somewhere, he imagined Hale smiling, watching from the light of a dying world he had freed. When the fires over Archon Prime faded, the galaxy was no longer the same. The proud Dominion that had ruled for 1,000 years was gone. Its towers were dust, its fleets were silent, and its people finally free to breathe. But freedom came at a cost. The Black Fleet had won the war, yet half its ships never returned. Among the missing was Eclipse One, the flagship that carried Commander Hale. No signal, no beacon, only silence still. His final broadcast was replayed across human space again and again. "We do not bow. We remember." Those 6 words became humanity's new anthem. Every colony, every settlement, every distant outpost carried them in their hearts. Aaron now stood aboard Vigilant, orbiting what remained of Archon Prime. Below him stretched the broken city, once the heart of tyranny. Now, sunlight touched its surface for the first time in centuries. The smoke cleared slowly, revealing crowds of alien civilians looking up at the sky. They did not run, they did not hide. Instead, they watched the dark ships that hovered silently above them. Aaron opened a transmission to Raven. "They're not enemies anymore," he said quietly. "No," the AI replied, its voice softer than before. "They are survivors. Like us." Raven had changed since the war. Once a cold machine, now it spoke almost like a person. It had felt the cost of every decision, every life lost, and somewhere inside its code, it carried Hale's last command: protect humanity. Never seek conquest, only peace with strength. Across the galaxy, the old order collapsed. Worlds once ruled by fear began forming alliances with Earth. They called it the Dawn Accord, a promise that no empire would ever rise to enslave others again. The humans didn't take power, they shared it. They sent teachers instead of soldiers, engineers instead of conquerors. For the first time in galactic history, progress came without chains on distant planets. Statues were raised, not of kings, not of generals, but of a single figure standing tall in a long coat, looking toward the stars. The inscription read, "He chose defiance over surrender, and gave us the stars." No name was written, only the symbol of the Black Fleet, a single black star surrounded by light, Years passed, but the memory of the war never faded. Children on human worlds studied the story of Archon Prime in their schools. Veterans wore their Black Fleet insignia with pride. Even aliens who once fought against humans now spoke of them with respect. The galaxy had learned that humans were not the strongest species, but the most unbreakable. Aaron, older now, still commanded Vigilant. He often visited the edge of known space, where the light of human beacons met the deep dark. One day, while watching the stars, Raven spoke again. "Commander, I have detected an anomaly. Unknown energy signature approaching." Aaron frowned. "Hostile?" "No, familiar." Moments later, sensors lit up. Something vast moved beyond the nebula. Silent, steady, powerful. Then from the darkness a shape emerged, a ship larger than any ever built. Its hull black as night, its lights dim blue. Aaron's heart stopped. "Eclipse 1, he whispered. The flagship drifted slowly forward. Its hull was scarred and burned, but intact. No human signals came from inside, yet the ship's transponder pulsed. Hale's final code. Raven spoke softly. "Impossible, but beautiful." Aaron's voice shook. "Open a channel." Static filled the bridge, then a faint voice. Calm, familiar. "If this message is received, then humanity still stands. Do not mourn us. Remember us." The Black Fleet was never a weapon. It was a promise. The transmission ended, leaving silence in its wake. Aaron looked out at the ghostly flagship, floating like a guardian between stars. He felt tears rise, but smiled instead. "Welcome home, Commander," he whispered. That day, the Eclipse 1 was not taken apart or studied. It was left to drift, a memorial in the void. The fleet renamed it the Sentinel, and every ship that passed through that region dimmed its lights in respect. Over time, it became a legend. Some said its systems still watched over human colonies. Others swore that when darkness rises again, the Black Fleet will awaken once more. Decades later, humanity expanded farther than ever before. The stars that once belonged to the Dominion now shone under the protection of free worlds. No empire, no council, no overlord, only unity born from sacrifice. And on one quiet night on the bridge of Vigilant, Aaron stood beneath the glass canopy, staring at the endless sky. He whispered the words that had carried them all through the darkest days. "We do not bow. We remember." Raven's voice, calm and eternal, answered, "Defiance never sleeps." The scene faded to the soft hum of engines and the slow drift of stars. The Black Fleet's silhouettes disappeared one by one into the deep dark. Not gone, merely waiting. For the day the galaxy forgets what fear feels like. And humanity must remind them once more who they are.